Hey guys, I'm Jordy, and with the final patch of Cataclysm Classic arriving soon, we'll finally be facing off against Deathwing and his minions in the Dragonsoul raid. Along with the raid, we'll be seeing our first rogue-specific legendary, the Fangs of the Father, a pair of daggers with a super fun and complicated questline that should give rogues the much-needed combat boost they need, as well as a very cool on-use that sprouts you black dragon wings. Alright, so as with Shadowmourne and Dragonwrath, I'm nearly positive Blizzard will accelerate the acquisition rate of the quest drops that you'll need to obtain the Fangs of the Father, likely enabling you to get them in 4 weeks or less. But we'll see once they post about it in the near future. Now to get these tentacle monsters, you'll need to collect a bunch of shadowy gems and elementium gem clusters from bosses in the Dragonsoul, as well as complete a few quests requiring you to stealth around dangerous NPCs by yourself, distracting, vanishing, and assassinating key NPCs. These are super fun quests, but they are quite tricky, and they will really stretch your class knowledge to the limit, but this guide should help you in case you get stuck or need some guidance. Alright, let's get into it. There are 2 bottlenecks for this questline, both requiring items that drop from the bosses in Dragonsoul, namely the elementium gem clusters. These things should drop whether a rogue is on that specific quest or not. The first bottleneck requires you to open these clusters for the gems inside, and the second requires the clusters themselves. So be careful not to open them if you're on that part. Either way, you should be okay to clear the instance without needing to be on that specific part of the quest, so long as you master loot these items to the rogue that you've designated to be getting the daggers. Don't stress about min-maxing and completing these things week to week. Okay. So upon zoning into Dragonsoul, you'll see the NPC Lord Devrastraz, who offers a quest to rogues called Proving Your Worth. This requires players to pickpocket the named NPC Hagara the Stormbinder, the 4th boss in Dragonsoul. Upon entering her room, you start a gauntlet of trash by using the orb at the center of the room before she finally arrives and lands at the center of the platform. Stealth up behind her and simply pickpocket the Cryptomancer's decoder ring. Now from here, you've got a few quests to complete before you can get to the first real bottleneck. But like I said, don't stress about completing these things before killing the other bosses because you'll still be able to get the gems that you need from them. Alright, so we return to Lord Devrastraz, and he says that we need to talk to some ethereals to get to the bottom of this ring. So we head to Stormwind or Orgrimmar and talk to Thaumaturge Rafir or Altha, who will need you to grease their palm with 10,000 gold and then wait 12 hours for him to do his thing. Once the 12 hours are up, right-click the ring in your inventory and head over to Korastraza in the Vermilion Redoubt in Twilight Highlands. We'll get the download on some of the story here and then talk to Mostraz, who flies us to Ravenholm, yapping all the way. Once we land, we talk to him again and begin the first stealth portion of the quest. Okay, so the goal is to make it all the way up to the manor and into the basement without being detected. When we stealth, we'll see this red circle around our character that shows the distance that you're detectable while stealthed, so long as the NPC isn't distracted or sapped. We'll stealth up through this cave, sapping this NPC on the left, and then follow this ridge up, sapping and distracting as we go, until we make it all the way to the back of the manor here. Now we get to channel our inner ninja and right-click this bundle of rope, which will allow us to grapple up the side of the manor, landing us on the roof, upon which we'll use this closed window, which deposits us into the top of the manor. We re-stealth, take the stairs down, avoid any NPCs inside, and make your way to the basement to complete the quest. Nicely done. From here, we meet Rathian, Deathwing's youngest son, and learn about his plotting, before being given the quest Our Man in Gilneas. We're to meet the gnome Zazo Twinklefingers outside the fallen city of Gilneas, who gives us the next quest, Assassinate Creed. This one is a bit of a step up in difficulty than the last one. We're looking to stealth through Gilneas, avoiding patrols, dogs, and snipers, to eventually arrive at Creed and kill him one-on-one. Now there's a few paths into Gilneas, but I'm going to recommend you follow this route as it's the easiest, and a quick reminder, this might be slightly different than what we'll see on live, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so we move across the bridge, sapping and distracting as we go, and cross into this courtyard. Watch for patrols as you go, and if you get caught, vanish and get out of line of sight as fast as you can. If you do get caught, don't stress it, it's quick to return to where you are. If you can make it to this alcove, you can wait to allow your cooldowns to reset, slow and steady, and then move on. From here, we move out the door, sapping this patrol, behind this target dummy, and around this building before finally making it to the river. Okay, great job, you are halfway there. Now, we drop into the water. Be careful because it's possible to lose stealth as you come out of the water, so watch where you are and re-stealth quickly before moving up to this embankment. We'll now head west a bit to this alleyway and face down this courtyard. You're looking to squeeze between these packs of enemies and hug this tree before making it to the far side. A well-timed distract and sprint is useful here, and be sure to have vanish ready in case you do pull. Once across the courtyard, go up the stairs, around the right to this building, into Creed's area where you'll fight him. Okay, so Lord Hyam Creed. He's got a few abilities. First, Consuming Darkness. Creed will put a void zone on the ground. We just move out of it, no big deal. Second, Black Howl's Will. You're looking to kick this or cloak it if you need to. This is important damage to avoid. Next, Black Howl's Rage. You shouldn't ever worry about this one. It's an anti-kite mechanic, so ignore it. Finally, at 75%, he'll start casting Shadow Breath. He stands still and breathes shadow in your direction, so just move behind him and avoid it. Super easy. Okay, so Creed goes down, well done. Loot him and head back to Zazo, who will send you to Rathian, where you'll get your first set of daggers. Very nice. Rathian now gives you the first big bottleneck quest, Cluster Clutch. Like I said, you should have some of these already, but you're looking to get 333 shadowy gems, items from the Elementium gem clusters. You'll get more out of them from bosses on Heroic than normal, but if I had to guess, this will take you about 2 weeks to complete on Heroic. Good luck in Dragonsoul, and hope you get some good RNG and don't have to extend your quest an extra week. Either way, once you've got 333 of these bad boys, you'll return to Rathian, who will say Zazo needs even more help, and this time you go just outside of Karazhan. Head over to Deadwind Pass and meet him just outside of the burned out town, where he'll give you the quest Blood of the Betrayer. Now this quest is absolutely the hardest of the bunch, so be ready to give it a bunch of attempts. Any buffs you can manage will help tremendously, as well as any consumables you can muster and things like that. Alright, so we're looking to sneak our way past a bunch of enemies and into one of the basement areas beneath Karazhan, and assassinate an NPC named Nalus. This first bit isn't too bad, just head toward the river, sapping dragonkin and humanoids along the way, before distracting this pack and sprinting into the cellar here. Be careful not to go into the one opposite of it, it's this west one, not the east one. Alright, once inside, you'll sneak your way down these stairs and into this little dip in the ground before turning to your right or south and facing down this long hallway. You're going to want to be extra careful of these little arcane elementals that patrol quickly around here. They can't be sapped, so are extra dangerous. Distract them as they patrol and sap along the way until you reach this fallen support beam, where you can rest a bit and wait for your cooldowns to come back up should you need to. Okay, so this is the hardest hallway of the entire quest. We're looking to use these arcane storage units by right-clicking them to blow them up and kill any NPCs within their blast radius, but to do so, we need to distract and sap enemies near them so they don't see you as you tinker with them. We sap and distract mobs away from the device, use it, and kill the ones nearby before doing the same further up the hallway on the right. Be super mindful of the arcane elementals patrols and vanish if you need to. It's possible to avoid using this last one on the left if you get solid timing on the elemental patrols, but just go slowly and methodically down the hallway and do your best to defeat as many as you can. Once you make it to Nalus's room, sit tight and wait for any cooldowns to reset before taking her on. Okay, so Nalus has 3 phases and a bunch of abilities. Let's look at phase 1 first. First, she'll cast Arcane Infused Armor, reducing her damage taken by 99%. You're just going to want to expose this off, even with just a single combat point to remove it. Second, Arcane Infused Weapon. This deals a ton of extra arcane damage whenever she swings at you, so either kite her around a bit or ideally max combo point kidney shot to stun her for the duration of it. You want to avoid getting hit by this entirely when it's active. Next, a simple arcane missiles. Just kick it or cloak it if necessary and avoid all that damage. She'll also enrage occasionally, and if she does, you'll look to shiv this off, and if done correctly, she'll get the sated debuff, increasing her damage taken. Look to use damage cooldowns during this window to maximize your DPS. It's super important to make the fight as short as possible. Okay, so that's phase 1. Now every 33% she'll enter phase 2, teleporting you to one side of the room. During this, she begins casting Arcane Devastation, a 20-second cast that if you allow her to finish, will one-shot you. To interrupt it, you're looking to rush to the far side of the room that you're now on and interact with 2 pylons, interrupting her and continuing the fight. You'll want to sprint through this gauntlet, avoiding the explosions on the ground and use the devices. It's a good idea to keep up recuperate during this to keep your HP up, and once you've completed the gauntlet and used the devices, you'll get a buff called Arcane Power, increasing your energy generation by 50% per stack. From here, the fight continues in phase 1 until 33%, where she'll do phase 2 again, but once you've completed the second gauntlet, you enter phase 3. Phase 3 is identical to phase 1, except the added addition of Blazing Shadows, a debuff that places purple damage on the ground that you'll want to move out of. Be careful as you move her to drop the fire in neat areas, and do your best to use any remaining cooldowns before finally finishing her off. Nicely done. Okay, so we get teleported out of the basement back to Zazo, who tasks you with returning to Rathian, who then gives you the second stage daggers as a nice reward. From here, we're on the bottleneck quest Sharpening Your Fangs. Acquire 60 Elementium gem clusters. Now these are the things the shadowy gems come out of, so make sure not to right click them in your bags. You'll likely be able to finish this in 2 weeks if history is any guide. Once completed, return to Rathian, who gives you the final quest, defeat his father, Deathwing. You've likely managed this by now, but once Deathwing is defeated, you'll loop this off of the ground and receive a fragment of Deathwing's jaw. Return to Rathian for your reward and some nice RP, setting up Mists of Pandaria and Rathian's major presence in it. Congratulations and enjoy the orange pixels, champion. Now with Dragonsoul fast approaching, I want to mention real quick, as usual, I'll have a loot prio guide and a raid assignment spreadsheet that will rigorously test after many hours of raiding on the PTR, so you and your raid can be ready to take Deathwing down once he does finally arrive. All that will be up on my Patreon in the coming weeks, which I've linked below. Thank you again for watching, enjoy the quest, and I'll see you guys real soon for more Dragonsoul content.